Mic check, 1, 2.
Huh? Why not 10? Once it hits 5, I'm going.
Oh.
Oh, are you ready? Huh?
Yeah. All right, we are live. Let me take this out of my ear, because let me know, guys, if that sounds good or if the audio is bad. Let me know. But I think we're good. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the UCF versus Sam Houston Charge On pregame live show. I'm your host, Sean Green. As always, with me is Nick Geddes. I think we have our tech issues solved. I think. Went hard in the paint, hard at work, great sound. Charles, and I think it's going to be great quality too. Let me know if the video's working. Last week was a rookie mistake, rookie error by me. So hopefully you guys can see this in 1080p. We are live from the bounce house. The camera is going to be a little shaky because it is windy. I've got a very expensive laptop on a big tripod. We are outside of section 224.
Yep.
Outside section 224. So if you guys want to come, give your thoughts on the show. If you guys can come in, we'd be more than happy to have you. But Nick, we talked about it on the pregame show. This is going to be a test, a bigger test for the Knights, right? I actually was watching a little bit more Sam Houston film last night, and they are physical. They are a physical football team. They've got a quarterback that can sling it, and they have nothing to lose. So we appreciate all you guys coming in and checking this out. But let's start with the quarterback, Hunter Watson. And I also want to say, if you guys have any questions, leave them in the comment section below. We'd love to hear from your guys' thoughts, what you guys think on the game, what your final score predictions are going to be. But we're going to get at all of it, and we want to hear from you. But, Nick, talk about Hunter Watson a little bit. He can move. He can get out of the pocket. He was their leading rusher last week. He and this offense are going to be a step up from New Hampshire. And we talked about it a little bit. Talk about Hunter Watson and the problems that he could bring this UCF defense.
Well, I think this offense is really a major step up, actually. I don't even think it's just a minor step up, but I think it's a major step up from what you saw last week from New Hampshire, which really didn't offer anything competitive, I don't think, to this UCF defense. I think that's going to be a little bit different in this one. I imagine they'll get in the end zone tonight, probably. I don't know if it's going to be enough to threaten necessarily the final score, but yeah, you mentioned Hunter Watson. It's going to be interesting tonight, I think, for both teams, because when we do our pregame previews and stuff like that, I don't know if we necessarily factor in what the weather's going to be. And as I was driving over here today, it hit me. I was like, we might have some rain tonight. And as I look around at the moment, I know you can't really tell, maybe in the distance there on the live shot right now, it looks like we might have some rain going on in the distance as we speak. There's some purple clouds. There's been a lot of lightning right now. The forecast said there's going to be rain during this football game, a pretty good chance. So the fact that Hunter Watson could move, I think that's going to be very, very beneficial for Sam Houston State tonight if they want to try to move the football. And, of course, you could say the same thing on the UCF side, probably a healthy dose of the run game for both teams tonight.
Yeah, which I know I know many UCF fans aren't going to want to hear. I know this was the week that we highlighted and we said, listen, you had a not-so-great week last week when it came to throwing the football, right, with KJ, and that you kind of needed this week to prove that, hey, UCF's going to be able to throw the football down the field. UCF's going to be able to do that. But with the rain in the forecast, I was hoping that all of the meteorologists were wrong. I was hoping that we wouldn't get rain. But it's looking like it's going to happen. So when it's on UCF's side of the football and KJ Jefferson, what do you need to see? Obviously, with rain, it's going to be a lot of running the football. There's not going to be much passing, what do you need to see out of KJ to have a confidence heading into the TCU week next week?
I mean, it sounds so simple because it is, but just run the offense, really. I mean, get him some smart, easy decisions, easy throws and stuff like that. Get the ball to Xavier Townsend. I think we said that in the pregame show. We saw a lot of him on the punt return and kick return last week. The guy was electric. I still think there's a lot of room to get him involved more in the offense that they didn't really do enough last year, I thought, and they didn't do enough of that in week one. So I kind of pinpoint him because obviously if you're looking for KJ, you're usually looking down the field for him. I think with Xavier Townsend, you can move him around on this offense and try to get him some explosive. So I think that, to me, would be what I want to see out of KJ Jefferson. I mean, listen, last week it was dry, and we saw how it resulted when he was throwing the football last week. So I don't think it could get worse necessarily. It is a bump up in competition just a little bit. But I do think there is much, much better football in KJ Jefferson, and hopefully we get it. The weather gives us a chance to see some of that tonight.
Yeah, I don't know how much rain there's going to be. I don't know how.
Oh my goodness. I love the comments right now.
Yeah, Stetson came in clutch with the comment.
Sunbelt Billy you're referring to?
Sunbelt Billy, I think a lot of Florida fans thought that they were referencing Florida fans. But no, I think if he knows Central Florida, I don't think Gainesville is in Central Florida, Nick.
I mean, it is in Central Florida.
I don't think it's in Central Florida.
It's a large area. Like, I live in Tampa. I call that Central Florida, too.
And you'd consider Gainesville Central Florida?
A little bit, yeah. A little bit.
I think to have just more of a grudge against Florida, I'm just saying he was talking about us when I know it wasn't.
Well, listen, I might be off. My compass might be off because USF refers to themselves as South Florida. Yeah. And I'm telling you right now, Tampa's not South Florida. So my compass might just be off. I don't know. This is a moot argument anyway, but I do appreciate the comment, Stetson. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, he said, hey, I'll view him from my Central Florida basement, which we all know in Florida there are no basements. So that's very funny. And we talked about that on the pregame show too, or the preview show. We're like, yeah, this is ridiculous. But let's read some of your comments before we kind of get into some more of the game here. Tiki Man, yo, what's up, Tiki Man? Charles Poland, hey, what's up? Great sound, great image, awesome. Tiki Man, if you have any mistakes, you have Gus make some excuses for you after the game. Listen, I think Gus said, which he said on the radio show, Nick, I don't know if you know this, but he obviously, every coach in America basically has a radio show during the week where he answers fan questions or whatever. He said that this was the best practice that KJ has had, the best week of practices KJ has had since he's gotten here. I don't know how much of that is coach speak, how much of that is realistic, but if you know, Tiki Man is a UCF fan. He knows because he is in our comments all the time. Gus and coaches, you're not going to tell truths if KJ was awful. It's not like Gus is going to come out and say KJ was really bad this week. But I think he could have had the best week of practice possible, but if it starts downpouring and raining, listen, Sam Houston's a step up. If you just go watch highlights from last week, I get it's Rice, I get all that stuff. They are a physical foot. They send a lot of blitzes. KJ's going to have to really understand where the blitzes are coming from. They have nothing to lose. And there's some people, mainly Sam Houston fans, and I get they're Sam Houston fans, but they think that they have a good chance to upset UCF today. So for Gus, I think he's going to have to make mistakes, or if there's mistakes, yes, he's not going to come out and say this was bad, while at the same time understanding it's coach speak. This team's going to have to come out and land a punch against still an inferior opponent, but a step up from last week.
Yeah, I mean, practice is practice. I've heard so many, practice reports, especially during camp, and this is not just for UCF, but for some other schools too, where you hear about, oh, this guy had a great week of practice, or this guy was lighting it up in practice. And then I see it in the game, and I'm like, really? It looks like he hasn't practiced at all. It looks like the offense hasn't practiced at all. So I take all practice sort of takeaways with a grain of salt until I see it in the game. We talked a lot about Hunter Watson and like what he's going to do tonight, with his legs for Sam Houston. The same thing with KJ. I think to use the cliche that I think everybody was saying, like battering ram, right? KJ could be a battering ram. I don't really think we saw much of that last week. In fact, when I saw him moving, he looked really slow. And that was with New Hampshire guys chasing him. And again, it's a little bit of a step up now with Sam Houston, and then next week it's going to be a step up and continuing on and on and on. So if he's going to have to move tonight, I want to see some more confidence. I know it's in him. It was there at his Arkansas film. He can move. And for whatever reason, last week he did not look very comfortable doing it, but I think tonight he's probably going to have to.
For sure. Mackie315 says, I think UCF is going to come out slinging it to get KJ in a rhyme. I think he meant rhythm, but again, we'll see. I mean, like we said, there's going to be thunder. There's going to be rain. The question's going to be, do they pound it on the rock when it rains? You want to run the football well. UCF can run the football very effectively. I'm sure they're going to be able to do it against Sam Houston. But are they going to try and get KJ regardless and try to sling it? I don't know how much of it is going to be, but I'm going to assume the game plan coming into it was going to be to try to get KJ in a rhythm early and to show off his passing ability. But we will see. Anya said it's thundering now. It has been thundering around the area.
Been a lot of lightning since we've been here too.
We were up in the press box before we hopped on, and there was some big lightning strikes coming down. So who knows? Again, the game might listen, we are an hour and a half or so away from kickoff, so hopefully the lightning goes away and it's just rain, because if there is lightning, they will prolong the game. We do not need a Boise State from a couple years ago.
We do not need another long night. I thought I was going to get a little bit of a lighter one tonight.
Yeah, we got a game 30 minutes earlier than normal, so let's keep that. But yeah, we will see. Tiki Man, that's West Central Florida.
All right, that's a good way to play it.
Yes. Okay, so I'm just going to, I'm going to consider it not Central Florida, and that he was talking just directly about us. Tiki Man, I'm in Clearwater. So you're kind of by his neck of the woods a little bit. He's driving up from Tampa every game. You got guys banging on bathroom doors over here. Love the people watching, but he is banging on bathroom doors. Anya, Gainesville is not Central Florida. See, I got it. They're on my opinion. They're on my opinion. Upstate. Oh, so I think, and some of you guys are putting up where you're coming from. So Mackie315 says upstate New York. I love everybody that's coming in. Drop where you're listening or watching from. If you guys are coming to the game, that's even better. We want a packed house here, obviously. Todd Mabry said, let's go KJ. Yeah, we could spend this entire pregame.
Let me say this, though, about KJ Jefferson. And I don't mean to be overreactionary, and this game hasn't even happened yet. But if we come out of here with this game and KJ Jefferson puts up another effort like he did last week, or even if it's like marginally better, I mean, you got to have some kind of concern at that point. I know it's only 2 games, and eventually this team's probably going to look a lot different as we get to week 6 and 7 and whatnot. But just for confidence sake and getting some sort of flow in the offense, we know UCF can run the football. We all knew that was going to happen. And last week they ran it to the tune of the most they've done since 2007. Okay, we know that they can win games that way, but eventually, push comes to shove, you're going to have to win games through the air. I know KJ Jefferson can do it. I know last week was really, really off. There's no other way to put it. And so tonight we need some encouraging signs to feel comfortable about this team, because looking ahead, and I know you don't like to look ahead necessarily, but I know that TCU can throw the ball around the yard. I don't know if UCF can throw the ball, period, right now.
No, and that's the thing. We know they can run, and that's why we want to see them throw. But again, if the weather permits, then that's going to be a point of emphasis. But no, I think it's first of all, I'm loving the wind. I don't love that it's going to rain, but if you guys saw our pregame show last week,
I was straight up drenched.
We were sweating bullets. The people sitting next to us in the press box probably did not like us at all, because we were sweating profusely. So this is much nicer. But no, I think UCF can run the football, and you have to look ahead. You have to look ahead a week from now. You have to look at, you're playing a real opponent.
We're looking at it.
Yeah. No, yeah, and you have to see. I think you do see Jakari Brown tonight. I would assume that, unless it's a closer game than normal. I mean, there is a chance that Sam Houston keeps it close. I don't think me or Nick believe that, but Sam Houston fans, again, they believe that their team can keep it close. So we might see Jakari Brown tonight. Let's keep reading some of the comments. Charles Poland, we play as we practice. We'll know soon if KJ practiced well. Again, I was saying before you made your comments, we could have our entire pregame show just on KJ, because I think after last week, we feel very confident about every single thing around the team after week 1. Obviously playing in New Hampshire, right? But with that being said, we can literally talk this entire time about, did KJ practice well? Is he going to come out and really perform? Is he going to look flustered or nervous? I think it was week 1 jitters. That's kind of what we're going to go with and assume. But to Nick's point, if he comes out and just has a marginally better performance, then yeah, you don't really feel confident going into TCU. And feeling, confident. Corey, upset. Yeah, right, UCF by 40. Listen, I'm not saying
40, but I definitely don't foresee an upset tonight.
Well, if we were betting men, then I think we're looking at the spread, and UCF was favored by, I think, 21.5. I think both me and you took the number, I think.
I think I had it right on it.
Right on 21?
Yeah.
So Nick took the under at that point. I think the spread has gone up over the last couple days. I think it might be like 23.5, 24.5 right now. So we don't actually know right now, if UCF will cover that. I'm fairly confident. I think UCF's going to put up points. But again, this is a Sam Houston team, Nick, that they have nothing to lose. Had a big win last week. They're riding a high. on the road.
And to give them credit, like I said, like they were a trendy pick in the offseason to sort of be a player there in Conference USA. So take that for what it's worth. I mean, I don't think this is going to be a situation like last week where you have the ability to throw 7 of 14 and win the game by 54 points. It's not going to be like that.
Yeah, it'd be nice. But
I'd say more about this team than it would anything else if that were the case. But I don't think it's going to happen.
No, I think Sam Houston. There was a lot of talk, and we talked about it on our show for a couple minutes. But there's been a lot of talk about that us that cover the team or us that do podcasts are hyping up Sam Houston too much. And we said specifically, it's not hyping them up. It's saying this is definitely a way bigger test than last week. You are getting a much better team and a much better team than they were last year in 3-9. You're getting a much better squad. So UCF's going to have to come ready. If they play like they did last week, if KJ plays like he did last week, specifically KJ, then I don't know how good it's going to go for UCF. I don't think they're going to lose. But margin of victory does matter, and against teams like this, you need to make statement wins.
To give credit, or not to give credit, but to be fair, we have seen some very close calls through the first week and now half of week 2. I mean, we saw what happened last week to Oregon against Idaho. I don't think that Idaho team is better than this Sam Houston State team. I don't think so. We saw today Penn State in a dogfight against Bowling Green. I mean, we've seen some examples in NC State last week, right? We talked about that. Like, there have been examples of teams sort of hanging around, and there's been some near upsets and everything. So I don't want to say like there's not a chance it could happen, but obviously the money is not on that happening tonight.
Charles Poland, Montgomery was MVP of the camp, and it showed in the last game. Listen, we've been hearing it for weeks. I think he is clear-cut RB2. He's clear-cut RB1 next year. Now this is just after one game, so let me pull back a little bit. But he looks good. He runs with a passion. He runs hard, and you saw
physical,
so physical. And I think RJ Harvey only got 11 carries. I think this coaching staff is very intentional with how they're going to do things this season. There's a reason that you have a 4-headed monster in the running back room. They're going to try to make sure that RJ Harvey is primed and ready for the back half of the year. You're not going to see RJ Harvey running 25 times a game. They're going to rotate, get other guys in, and RJ Harvey's still going to get his. Let's not kid ourselves.
He's going to be even more efficient in those carries that he gets. And you saw that last week. I think I saw something like it took him like 4 games or something like that to get to 200 yards last year on the ground, and he's only like 58 away or something like that. He's going to get that tonight in probably the first quarter maybe.
No, so this running back room is legit, and all of them are going to contribute this year. They want all of them healthy and fresh and ready when you're playing some of those big-time programs later on in the year. So that'll be definitely a thing to watch for tonight to see. Is it similar? Do they do the same thing they did last week?
Somebody watching from Costa Rica. Love that.
Oh, I didn't. You're looking down. I'm like trying to. Todd Mabry, UCF 30, Sam Houston 14. If that's the score, Nick, there's going to be a lot of negative people on the post-game show. Lot of negative people. Amnya, I can hear the band practice from the yard. That's actually, I don't know how great that is. It might be nice if you really enjoy hearing.
Very close, don't you?
Yes, I mean, she must be pretty close. Craig, watching from Coast. Oh, I lost it. No.
Down too much.
Yeah, no. I'm watching from Costa Rica right now. Go Knights. Go Knights, Craig. Thank you for watching.
I'm loving this right now. I'm not to continue to keep going past it, but we got somebody watching from upstate New York. We got Clearwater. We got Costa Rica. And now Charles Poulin, if I have that correct, is watching from Quebec. Nice and sunny there. I didn't realize that we were international.
Yeah, we're all the way in Canada. That's nice. And I look at all of our numbers sometimes. We have a good chunk of people looking from all over the United States, outside of the United States. So, listen, Knights fans are the best. We have one of the largest alumni bases in the country, so it's great that you guys tune in. And Charles is a big time. He's on all. I notice him. I notice his name all the time. We appreciate you, Charles, watching from wherever. What? Oh, you're fine. You are fine. Listen, if you guys want to come up and talk, you just come ask us. I don't think she was wanting to do that, but if you guys want to come see us, we are section 224, right to the left of the student section. So come say hi. Corey watching from Ocoee, about to head that way now. Corey, be safe. Don't know how much traffic there's going to be, and again, hopefully it doesn't rain on the way here. Mackey 315, UCF 42-7. That would be a very happy Sean in the postgame. And I'm assuming a very happy Nick if 42-7 was the score.
You won't get any negative comments from me on that one.
Not if it's 42-7. Weeds, Palm Beach County. I'm loving seeing where everybody is from. It's awesome. Zachary Foster, I don't think it's just the QB concern. You also have to consider in the week 1 defense, was it really that great, or was the illusion of playing a mediocre FCS team? I think we get a better answer today. And we brought that up. We said, I think we said it a million times on the post-game show. We said it a million times, or I said it a million times on the post-game, pod. You did play an FCS team. This used to be an FCS team. They are now FBS. They've been an FBS for 1 year, but it's a step up. And I think you'll get a better feel. We brought it up on the podcast that you played Kent State week 1, and you allowed 6. Then you played a Villanova, you allowed 14. I think if UCF, I've watched the Sam Houston team. They're not a pushover. They are good enough. If this defense can allow less than 14 points, Nick, I will be happy. I will be jumping up and down, because this Sam Houston team, like I said, it's not like they are TCU. It's not like they are a Baylor, but they are a good football team that will give you fits.
No doubt about that. No doubt about that. I think we've been talking about that step up in competition and everything, and particularly what I'm looking most out of that UCF defense tonight, and I think there's a comment that follows it kind of talking about it, is how much pressure you can get on the quarterback. I think we saw that in spurts last week. Maybe not as consistent as we would have liked, but it didn't really end up mattering. In games like this, I think it's going to matter a little bit. Maybe not as much as next week or certainly the week after that, but it's going to matter a little bit tonight. And like I said, I'm not throwing a number on it of how many sacks you're going to get. I know Rice, I think, got 7 sacks against Sam Houston State last week. So you just want to see some consistent pressure overall, and hopefully that starts tonight.
I'm excited to see the defense, though, for sure. We are excited. Weed says UCF 55-10. Again, we will be hugely happy if that is the case. Caden Carter, this is the comment Nick alluded to. Wright's got 7 sacks against Sam Houston. UCF D-line should have a great night. They are getting their starting right tackle back. We talked about it on the pod. They are getting their starting right tackle back tonight, so that could cause them to maybe protect a little better. Maybe Hunter Watson doesn't hold on to the ball as long, but the UCF defense should feast.
They should, and like we said in the pregame show, or the other day, I really loved the rotation that they were using last week, getting some of those other guys in there, and like I said, I thought some of the rotational guys actually shined a little bit better than the starters last week, and I think you're probably going to see that tonight. I thought the early returns on Dalen Dotson, I thought, were great on the interior. I think that was one of the questions we were sort of, how are you going to replace John Walker? I thought between him and Tyreek and Keyshawn and all those dudes, it's not really as much of a concern after week 1 at the moment. All that has to be said. After week 1, those are not concerns at the moment, but I want to continue to see them build on that tonight.
No, definitely want to see it. And it should be interesting. We'll see it. It's definitely a step up in competition. We're going to go for about another 8 minutes here, so definitely drop your comments, and we're going to try to get to all of them. We're going to go to about 5:30 here. Zachary Foster, also UCF has concerns, but be glad we aren't Baylor or Cincinnati. They are atrocious. Cincinnati, I'll say this. We're going to talk a little bit about it, and we have our post-game live show, and then we have our pregame, right? We have our pregame live show, but we have our pregame pod. So we're every time we say pregame show, it's okay, we're kind of I'm confusing the two. So in our pregame pod, but Cincinnati was looking good, Nick, for about a half.
Yeah.
And then they pulled the UCF against Pitt, which again, we want all Big 12 teams to beat ACC, SEC, Big 10 teams. So yeah, Baylor and Cincinnati look bad, but
I don't even know if anybody knows what the actual. I know it was 17-0 Utah when we left the press box, but it's not the opponent you want to play in week 2. I'll tell you that one. Right
yeah,
now.
If you want to put the score of that game down below, that'd be great. Mackey 315. Sam Houston won't be able to run defense. Will have big night, 2 interceptions, 5 sacks. Again, if the defense does that, which again, Hunter Watson he can make mistakes. I mean, he had his first week starting last week in Division I, a big-time JUCO quarterback. Him getting out of the pocket, I'm not even looking necessarily at the turnover battle. I'm looking at how can they defend a mobile dual-threat quarterback, because you're going to see a lot of them this year. That's my big take. Can UCF switch it up? Can the defense play really good, fundamental defense? And I said, if you watch their tape, I didn't say this on the show, but I watched it. They look a lot like TCU. The way they run their offense looks very similar to how TCU runs their offense. So I'm very intrigued to see if UCF, and again, different skill level, right? I'm sure TCU they're way better than Sam Houston, right? But if you can really stay fundamental, stay locked in, and play good defense against this Sam Houston team, it could give you a little bit of a test of how UCF will defend TCU next week. Do you have anything to say on that?
No, I was just going to say 23-3 Utah halftime. Thank you, Corey, for that update. Well, the UCF will not be losing 23-3 at half, I don't think, tonight.
I hope not.
I don't think that's going to happen. But and MDC says also Fort Myers, Florida here. Charge on. Shout out to Fort Myers. I went to Florida Gulf Coast for 2 years before transferring here, so I got a lot of love for Fort Myers. So appreciate you watching it.
Corey, RJ being able to stay fresh is huge. We talked about it a little bit, but yeah, RJ, you'll see it tonight. Like, they're going to use all 4 backs. I'm going to be intrigued. I want to ask Gus Malzahn this week in his press conference after this game if it sticks to the same, right? If they stick to the same kind of 4 running back rotation where they kind of rotate those guys in, I'm intrigued to see if they keep that. Or if it's more so whoever they're playing, how much they're up by.
And keep in mind, too, because of the fact that Miles was a transfer, because of the fact that Penny was a transfer, I think obviously in week 1 is a perfect time where you want to see what those guys have, so maybe that played a role too. And sort of the rotation you saw last week, I mean, there is a scenario. I don't know if this is going to happen because we've been talking about the depth and everything, and I think they could be fine doing the rotation they were doing. But there is a scenario when you get deeper into the schedule, and especially in Big 12 play against some of these better teams, you're going to have to ride the hot hand, and the hot hand more often than not is going to be RJ Harvey. So this could have been a product of, hey, these 2 guys are transfers. We need to get them on the field. We never know what it's going to look like until we see it. I think that's probably going to be the same tonight. And then, again, maybe in some of those bigger games, you might see more RJ Harvey.
Yeah, I'm very intrigued to see it, and hopefully we get more answers as we have the weeks ahead to see, is it going to be RJ and one other guy, or is it going to be this kind of 4 running back rotation, which I'm excited to see. And then one more comment that we have right now is MDC saying, I want to see better quarterback play, see the defense remain solid, and blow this team out. Go Knights. I don't even think there's
to add to that.
That's to sum up a 25, 26 minute pregame show.
Don't have to even say anything else.
That's, if you get all of that, you're going to have a very happy Steven, a very happy Sean, a very happy Nick. And our post-game live show, which our post-game show will be directly after the game. It was a little bit later last week. I went to the press conference after. That's not happening. We're going to do directly. We are going live basically 10, 15 minutes after the game ends. So make sure you subscribe. Subscribe to the channel. Come on back. Again, the quality is much better, so you have no excuses but to tune into our show directly after to hear all of our thoughts on hopefully a UCF blowout. And then last comment before we kind of sign off is Mackie315 says they will be there for Colorado. I think there's going to be a lot of people being there for Colorado. It's going to be one of the better atmospheres on the year. Nick, before we close it out, and put your comments in as the last bit, any final thoughts leading up to kickoff?
Yeah, let's just have fun. Let's have fun. Me mainly, I'm not trying to take these Saturdays for granted during the fall. So we got NFL tomorrow. That's going to be fun, but let's enjoy it tonight, and let's, for the UCF fan base out there, hopefully 2-0 after the end of this one.
Hopefully. Charles Bone, last comment, touchdown special teams. I think we can.
We got the blocked punt last week. Got the blocked punt last week.
Listen, I think it's only a matter of time before Xavier Townsend takes one to the house. I think it's only a matter of time. So maybe that's tonight. But thank you guys so much for tuning in. We really appreciate all the support. This has been really fun. Much better than last week. Much better than last week. I am very proud of that. And the post-game show is definitely going to be better than last week. So like I said, tune in, subscribe. I will tweet it out. So follow me, follow Nick down below. We'll be tweeting out the link for that as soon as we go live to give you guys all of the info from this game that we're about to play. So go Knights, charge on. This has been the Charge On pregame live show. I'm Nick. I'm Sean.
You're doing so well.
I was doing so well and then just crumbles at the end. I'm Sean. That's Nick. We will see you guys after the game.